Ketanji Brown Jackson is on track to become the first black woman on the Supreme Court. She wrapped up more than 30 hours of hearings yesterday, and now Democrats in the split 50-50 Senate are expected to confirm the historic nominee to replace retiring Justice Stephen Breyer by mid-April. President Biden has said on principle he would like at least one Republican vote. The Hill's White House columnist Niall Stange joins me now. Niall, good morning. Good to see you. So the confirmation hearings are always brutal. What did you think?
Well, I mean, clearly some Republicans went pretty aggressively after Judge Jackson. They went after her for purported leniency in some of her sentencing. They tried to connect her, I think, more broadly to a kind of radical viewpoint. My view is that she pushed back pretty effectively against that, talking about the fact that the sentences in question are actually fairly commonplace, and talking quite movingly about her own family connections to law enforcement. She had an uncle who was chief of police in Miami, a brother who was a police officer in Baltimore. So at the most aggressive edges, you know, Republicans were trying to make it appear as if President Biden had sort of nominated the second coming of Angela Davis. And I don't think a fair-minded person would have come to that conclusion.
Fair enough. Judge Jackson, she's a Harvard graduate. She's currently on the university's board of overseers. And one of these big Supreme Court cases at issue right now involves Harvard's affirmative action practices. So if confirmed, she will have to recuse herself. And of course, there's the fact that President Biden vowed to nominate a black woman to the high court in the first place. Did race play into these hearings at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think it did. The Harvard case is a little different. I mean, of course it is about race, but the issue there really is Judge Jackson's position on that board of overseers at Harvard. The case itself, of course, touches upon race because it's about the use of race in college applications. I think that in terms of the broader question, I think it certainly did play into it. And, you know, one of the difficulties, I think, for more moderate Republicans was that they didn't. Aggressive questioning is fine, but I don't think you want to be seen to be demeaning or disrespecting a woman who's standing on the brink of such a historic achievement.
And I want to pivot a little bit now to the Washington Post, and it's Washington Post reporting that Justice Clarence Thomas's wife, Virginia Thomas, texted Donald Trump's White House Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows, to help overturn the 2020 presidential election results. What do we know about this, and could he himself face any recourse for his wife's alleged conduct?
So we know there were at least 29 texts between Ginny Thomas and Mark Meadows around that time. These came to light because of the work of the January the 6th Select Committee. We also know that this wasn't just a conservative expressing disappointment that President Trump had lost. Ginny Thomas was endorsing or backing people that even some around President Trump thought were a little bit too out there, were not credible advocates for former President Trump's point of view. Now, as to Justice Thomas, I don't think he really faces any recourse. I mean, of course, it raises questions about appearances, about whether people can believe that he will be impartial. But in general, and for good reason, people are not generally held responsible for the views of their spouse or the views of any other family member.
And speaking of Justice Thomas, he was hospitalized with flu-like symptoms this week. Do we know anything about how he's doing, whether he's still there?
We know mysteriously little, I would say, Rudabeh. The Supreme Court released a statement on Sunday saying he'd been hospitalized on Friday. At that time, they said his symptoms were abating and he was expected to be out in a day or two. We've heard nothing since then, and it's even got to the point where TMZ doorstepped Justice Stephen Breyer as he was leaving a restaurant to ask him about it. Justice Breyer said he thought Justice Thomas was fine, but TMZ interviewing Supreme Court justices. What a world.
Well, the world has changed, hasn't it? Niall, thank you. Appreciate you joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click on the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.